What's good, people? Episode 56 of the Victory and Vices podcast. Me, Rory Spooner, James Veck, back at it. And you know we got the top sign-ins and we got the flop sign-ins. You've clicked on the video, you want our opinion, we're about to give it to you. So we got our 5 top sign-ins of the season thus far.
So far, yeah.
Our 5 flop sign-ins of the season thus far. Some you may agree with, some you may disagree with. Let us know in the comments and challenge us. If you think, you know what, that's bullshit, let us know it's bullshit.
Football, it's opinion. It's all opinions, isn't it?
And opinions are like arseholes because everybody's got one. So let us know yours. All right, we'll kick off and we'll start with what we agree with.
Okay.
We say. Okay.
Yeah, I think this one would be quite unanimous, or it would at least be in, I would say, most people's top 5.
90% of football fans are going to be like, you know what, we're not disagreeing with this. Maybe higher. Yuri Tielemans.
Correct. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, that guy can ball with the best of them. Now, when I was actually looking at his transfer fee earlier on, it's rumoured to be around 40 million, but there was one newspaper that put it at 32. Might be one of the best 32 millions I've ever seen spent. Yeah,
well, 30 million, 40 million, whatever it is, we've talked about him on previous episodes. Those who watch the episode every week, which is obviously lots of you, would have seen that. And I've said previously how none of the top clubs like a United or like an Arsenal or a Spurs, how nobody picked him up, because there's no disrespect to Leicester, and they're obviously flying at the moment, right? We know that, okay? Second in the league, doing a fantastic job, but they're not what you would call an elite club.
Not at all. No, I mean, they're a solid club, and we said before, an excellent. So what I'm looking for, stepping stone club.
And Leicester themselves are looking to try and make that leap themselves from that stepping stone club towards the more sort of elite end bracket, and they're doing a mighty fine job at the moment.
They are indeed.
But the current situation is they're not quite that size of club. They can't pay the kind of wages that United could pay, or maybe like a Chelsea, or you know, maybe like an Arsenal. But no matter how they got it, Leicester got the job done. They got the signing done for £40 million or £32 million or whatever it turns out to be. It's an absolute steal in today's market.
He can do everything. He can break from midfield. He can tackle. He can defend. He can score goals. He's a character in the dressing room. He's a character on the pitch. He's still only 22.
It's just about to say that the biggest surprise is that you pay a lot more money normally for a player with all those attributes, right?
Yeah.
But then you factor in the age side of it. You normally pay somewhat double on top. You know, for the equivalent player who's maybe 30, you'd expect to pay double for someone who's 22 just because of the amount of years you're getting from them.
Yeah.
40 million, man, for...
It's a steal. And look, and we as United fans, we talk about United being slow in the transfer market. We won't necessarily get into it in too much depth, but they definitely missed a trick. I feel like Spurs maybe missed a trick too, not trying to get him as well. Arsenal, oh man, he would be so good in that Arsenal midfield.
There's a couple of midfields towards the top end of the Premier League, or clubs that should be towards the top end, that need someone like him so badly. So badly.
When you think, right, that a Hakim Ziyech was available for around 25 million, and then a Yuri Tielemans has gone for 32 million, bro, you could just chump change to a lot of these clubs.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And they're tearing it up, both of them.
Scary. But yeah, shout out to Tielemans. He is a terrific player. We love watching him play, you know, just as neutrals, and I think he's going to keep exciting Premier League crowds. Yeah. So Tielemans, we 100% agree on. Yeah. The next one we agree on as well. Now, forgive my pronunciation of his name, right? Because you know I don't pronounce names well.
This is true.
I believe it's pronounced Lys. Oh, that sounded very Welsh. Or
Lys.
Or is it Lys Mousset?
Or Lice.
Mousset? Mousy? I don't know how you say
Mousset. I believe it's Mousset.
Mousset for Sheffield United. Signed from Bournemouth for around 10 million. I think it's 3 goals and 3 assists thus far.
Yeah.
And he has been very influential. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, why have you put him ahead of other players?
Yeah.
One of the main reasons I put him in there is because Sheffield United are doing very well, and he has been a catalyst for a lot of good things they do.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure who it was at Sheffield United, if it was the manager or someone else, came out and said recently he just needs to work on his conditioning, because the Premier League is, you know, it's a very tough league. It's not something that he's necessarily used to. But for him to be keeping out a player like Ollie McBurney, now I know Ollie has been, shall we say, how can I put this politely?
I'll let you take this one.
Ollie has been busy undertaking other activities.
Yes, extracurricular activities.
He's been doing other things. So for him, even with all of McBurney's sort of personal problems, for him to keep him out of the side and help propel Sheffield United to the top 10, I think he is one of the signings of the season, thus far at least.
Definitely, and you said top 10 there. They currently sit in 5th. We're talking 12 games into a Premier League season, and you're looking at a club that would have been probably near the top of everybody's list to go straight back down. And let's not get ahead of ourselves. That could still happen, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about them now, and they sit 5th in the Premier League. That's ahead of Arsenal. That's ahead of Manchester United. That's ahead of Spurs. That's ahead of Wolves, other good sides. And I know some of those sides I mentioned, you say, look, it's not a big achievement being ahead of United. But for Sheffield United, it is. It's a massive achievement.
Credit where credit's due. They've been superb. So,
and, obviously, outside of the top 4, there's nobody real close to the top 4. They're the next best thing. And for... we're going to go with Mousse. That's funny how you say his name.
If it is wrong, because somebody corrected us on the last video about
Sayonchu.
Again, we probably said that wrong. Whoever the Turkish brother was in the comments, we appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. We try and take on other people's dialect as well.
Exactly, yeah. But the thing is, all right, there's 3 goals, 3 assists he's got so far. You don't look at that and think it's particularly groundbreaking. But what you need to understand is that Sheffield United aren't exactly a free-flowing attacking side.
No.
They're a very structured, the team that defends very well. They've got balance. So they're not going to score loads of goals, right? But he is, one of the very few that's getting the goals for them. And he's also getting assists as well. So in a side that's doesn't have a huge attacking outlet, he's doing a job. Yeah. And he's doing it very well.
Shout out to him again. 10 million. Bear in mind, McBurney went for double that. So for 10 million in this day and age, it's an absolute steal. So
it is.
We got to give him, we salute you, bro. Keep doing your thing.
Big up to Sheffield United.
We are watching. A lot of people think that we just sort of watch the top 6, and to a degree that's true. But we do keep an eye out for what else is going on.
You got to, don't you?
Yeah, we always try and stay abreast of situations, so we say. Okay, so that's our first 2. So in terms of the 2 top signings thus far, they are 2 of the 5. We have, that's primarily where the list ends, and we separate
in terms of agreement.
In terms of agreement, we go our separate ways. Now, for me, we'll go on to Manchester United signings, because this is where we differ slightly. If you watch this podcast, you already think I have an agenda on what's happening next. I don't, I promise you. But my thoughts differ to yours. So I'll let you start off, because we already know where this is going, right?
Yeah, so my third pick out of the 5, as you've already alluded to, is Daniel James.
Okay.
I do quite believe that Dan James would be on a lot of people's lists. Maybe not as many people's lists as like a Tielemans, but I think he would feature on a number of lists.
I think you'd be very right.
And there's a number of reasons. I think when you look at, or when you assess who can be one of the top signings of the season so far, there's a couple of things you have to take into consideration, right? So obviously their performance.
True.
So far. And what the second factor you have to look at is what they cost in comparison to their performances as well, right?
Yeah,
so
that's true, yeah. Value for money.
You spend a huge amount of money on someone, you don't just expect decent performances, you expect brilliant performances. Now, Dan James, he hasn't had brilliant performances, and he hasn't had, consistently brilliant performances either. So what you have to consider with that, though, is he did only cost £15 million.
He did, yeah.
Which is not a lot of money at all. Especially, we talk about Tielemans only being 32 million, talk about Mousse being 10 million. Dan James is within that sort of range, £10 million, right?
100%, yeah.
And you could argue, and I know we've said before, we've debated, and we won't go too much into that side of it, but United haven't exactly been brilliant, maybe a bit better lately, but when they've gone forward, everything that's a lot of things that are good seem to be coming from a Dan James, right? I think for his age, for the fact that he only cost £15 million, and you look at the money spent, or the amount of money they spent on Wan-Bissaka, which is 50 million, 80 million on Maguire, you could argue, in my opinion, United's best signing is the one that cost 15 million, which is Dan James.
Okay, no, that's a sound argument. You know what? He's done okay. I won't over-egg that pudding. A lot of people have said he's the Welsh Messi, he's this, he's that, he's the third. One of Manchester United's biggest problems has been scoring goals this season. The inconsistency they have going forward is alarming, right? And Dan James is a part of that problem to a degree. Yes, as you say, he has played well in parts, and he is full of work ethic, and I can't fault that. But it's that inconsistency right now which is letting him and Manchester United down. That's just my opinion. And a lot of people go, inconsistency, are you watching the same player? But really, there has been times where he has been, anonymous in certain games. So that's the only reason I didn't put him in the list. But he is very close to going in my list. I'm starting to come around to Dan James. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
I like his work ethic. I like his attitude. I have gone for Wan-Bissaka. Now, you're probably thinking, why have you gone for Wan-Bissaka? The Manchester United right-hand side last season, with Ashley Young as a right-back, was like watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
It was like hide behind the sofa, scream, shout, maybe run into the kitchen and turn the TV off, right? It was that fucking bad.
True.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka has come in, and every single time you see him play, bar maybe once or twice, his stats are phenomenal. Like, he doesn't miss tackles. People really struggle to get past him. And that solidity that he provides, that platform for United to go forward in games against, I can't remember specifically which one I'm thinking of now. It might have been the Leicester game. Where
he's very good now.
I was just so impressed with him. And Leicester at the time were big favourites to win, and United were sort of on a bit of a downer. So for me, Wan-Bissaka I think he's a godsend. I could see him being at Manchester United for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback what you said there a little bit, so, I did go with Dan James, you've gone with Wan-Bissaka. That doesn't mean that we're against the other person's opinion.
No,
we're very much kind of in agreement as well. But with Wan-Bissaka, I think why he maybe doesn't get as much praise, or he doesn't get noticed as much as an attacking player, is because he just does everything well. He does the non luxurious stuff well. So
he's a beast, bro.
These days, the modern day fullback is the one that attacks a lot and creates chances and joins in.
Like a Trent, for example. Yeah,
with the linker play.
Yeah.
And Wan-Bissaka is not really known for that.
No.
And him and Trent Alexander-Arnold are actually kind of the complete opposite fullbacks.
They are polar opposites.
If you could morph them together, they would be incredible.
You'd have one of the best fullbacks of all time.
Ever. Yeah. So Alexander-Arnold's obviously very good going forward. He gets forward a lot, he gets a lot of assists, but he's a bit suspect defensively.
Yeah.
And then with Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't offer very much going forward, but you do well to get past him once in a game going the other way.
Yeah.
And you did highlight that United have had a bit of a horror show with Ashley Young over the last couple of seasons.
And
I just think that because Wan-Bissaka, because he's just doing a job so well, you almost just don't notice anything bad happening over the side of the pitch anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't get criticised because nothing comes from that side anymore, because he just shuts it down.
That's exactly what I'm referring to, bro.
But then then the problem is because he doesn't do anything much going that way, people don't jump on the Wan-Bissaka bandwagon that much.
That is very true.
So I agree with what you're saying there. He has been a very good addition. Just Dan James for me, he's got 3 goals scored, 2 assists, and what I would say that should be 3 assists, because the one that Rashford missed. Did you see that one?
Don't even start on that.
Don't want to talk about that, but that's basically 3 assists.
Yeah.
Because I laugh when we counter attack. It's brilliant when Dan James gets the ball because he's so fast, right?
He's rapid,
so fast. But you watch the replay back. It's literally like, I feel like I was back in school playing in like year 11 under 16s, and there's like a year 7er he's just good enough to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
He is just so small. But you know the way he just drew the defender in and then he fell on his arse. And then,
it was terrific.
Yeah.
I won't lie, that was a great piece of skill.
In that kind of scenario, when he's got space, that's when he's obviously dangerous on the counter-attack more so.
Yeah.
It's difficult for him to create, when teams have got 2 banks of 4 behind, in front of the ball. So it is difficult there, but he's at his best when he has space to run into.
Correct.
So, yeah, we can agree to disagree on that.
We can agree. I think it's a fair trade-off, in fairness. I don't think it's that bad. On to the next one. Now, I am going with a name that it may surprise some people, it may not. But Martinelli at Arsenal. Now, I think Martinelli is a fantastic young player. And there's a certain Jurgen Klopp that agrees with me. Jurgen Klopp said this. He called him the talent of the century. Big words from Jurgen Klopp. Massive words from him. Now, you're not going to be in agreement to this, are you?
Not talent of the century, no.
I mean, Klopp said it. It wasn't Emery. It wasn't anybody else. It was Klopp. He came out and he said he's the talent of the century. He does say a lot of things. But I'm in agreement with him. I look at Martinelli and I see I see almost like a younger sort of Nicholas Anelka. The way he sort of runs around the pitch, the way his movement, his sort of skills within the box, where he just knows where the net is. He knows how to find the goal. Having a quick look, I think he scored 7 goals this season already.
Yeah. That's all competitions though, isn't it?
That's across all competitions, yeah. And his transfer fee was only, I think, give or take 6 or 7 million.
That's true.
That when we're talking value for money, I mean,
what I would say is, though, I'm sure either 2 or 3 of those came against Liverpool's 12-year-olds, didn't it, in the cup?
Yeah, you can only beat what's
you can only put the ball in the net, which is true. No, I haven't gone with Martinelli in my top 5 because I haven't seen him do enough against sort of the better opposition in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He is young, obviously,
18.
right? And he does look a talent. And yes, it was against a young Liverpool side, but you could sort of see flashes of his composure and his sort of awareness. His finishes, they were neat, very neat and tidy. He's very good on the ball. So I'm certainly not saying that I don't think he can turn out to be a real talent. I'm not going to say talent of the century. That's too high a praise for me.
It's a big statement.
Especially you consider the players that have come before him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he's certainly a prospect, and towards the end of the season, there's a very good chance we're going to do a signings of the season at the end of the season, perhaps as well, and he could feature in that conversation then. But for me, not quite just yet.
That's cool. I'll take that for now because I fully rate him. And who are you going to go with as the next one, bro?
For me, this guy maybe hasn't got quite as much pizzazz to his name or his play, but it's Neil Maupay.
Okay.
That rhymes.
Okay, Neil Maupay. Okay.
The reason being, Brighton this season have kind of surprised people. Now, for a number of reasons. Firstly, I know United did beat them on the weekend, but I'm trying to find them on the table. They sit 11th, right? Before then,
respectable.
Yeah, before they lost United on a weekend, I'm sure they were about 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was 11 games in. Now, Brighton last season and the season before that, they were obviously dogging with relegation fights, and they didn't play a particularly good brand of football or very watchable brand of football.
No.
Mazzolino, he was the main sort of man who was the goal getter for them. Graham Potter's come in and he's altered their style of play. Now, I actually don't mind watching Brighton play these days.
They're not a bad side.
They keep the ball down and they play a decent brand of football. Now, Neil Maupay has come in. He's scored 4 goals. He's their top goal scorer. He doesn't have any assists, but like we said something similar with Mousset for Sheffield United.
Yeah.
He's just the man that's scoring the goals for them. Obviously, shout out to Aaron Connolly as well. The youngsters doing well.
Wouldn't be far off in fact.
But he's obviously not a signing of theirs. I'm sure he was he not a youngster?
Product, yeah.
So Maupay he's just getting the goals, and when I watch him, some of his goals have been good finishes. He just looks like an all-around, like a decent player.
Okay.
And
I like it.
It's also worth saying as well, right, when we were picking our top 5, when I looked at the signings that all clubs have made, there wasn't a huge pool of players, was it? There wasn't like so many players jumping out of us.
No, there's not been a lot of stand. I know we're at what today now is the 11th of November. By the time we put it out, it'll probably be about the 13th or 14th. Yeah. So the signings, bear in mind, what we're analysing is between the start of the season and now, who's done what, the where, the when and the why. So I think it's a fair shout, bro. I think they've all been pretty decent thus far. My last one is going to be Harry Wilson. Now I know he's only on loan at Bournemouth, and the talk is of a Ryan Fraser swap deal, which I think would actually suit both parties very well. Wilson, I don't think really wants to be at Liverpool because he wants to go and sort of learn his trade somewhere else. And Fraser wants to move to a big club because he's kind of plied his trade in the lower leagues and he feels like he deserves a shot.
True.
So it wouldn't be, again, the worst swap in the world. I just thank God that Wilson is Welsh because we finally have a hope, right? Because at some point Bale has to go.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're very big shoes to fill, and I don't think one man can fill them. But if any man in that team can get close to doing what he does, it's Harry Wilson. Like, he scores some absolute screamers, bro. He's got pace, he's got power, his technique is just incredible. Like, he won't be at Bournemouth long the way he's going. He won't. I genuinely think that, if Liverpool don't want him, another top club could easily come in and take him.
Yeah.
He's a beast, bro. He is an absolute beast. And I remember at 16, I think it was Chris Coleman capped him to stop him going to England. I think it was Wales against Belgium or something like that he played in. At the time, I remember thinking, "Oh, they must really rate this guy."
Yeah.
And then fast forward a few years later, and he is he's outrageous. Like the free kick, I think he scored for Derby against United.
That was superb.
He scored, I think was it against Man City, as an absolute screamer or someone like that.
Yes, it was the season, wasn't it?
Season, yeah, bro. He the technical ability in that guy's locker.
Oh, he's such a talent. Yeah,
huge talent.
Yeah, with the Ryan Fraser kind of swap deal, I'm a bit suspect on that one because I'm a bit suspect of anybody going to Liverpool and trying to challenge that front three that they've got already.
Yeah,
that's the difficulty. But going back to Harry Wilson, again, like the sort of Wan-Bissaka, Dan James one, I don't disagree. I've enjoyed watching him this season. I just didn't quite fancy him enough in my top 5.
That's fine, and that's perfectly okay.
And that's opinions.
Yeah, and that's what opinions is.
I think what he, again, like a Martinelli, what he can become is so much more than what he is right now. Yeah. And I'm like you said, I'm just glad he's Welsh because I'm quite excited to see what he's going to turn out because he's put in a few good displays for Wales as well.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
And how old's he now?
I want to say around 20. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's around 20.
Young. He's young.
Yeah, he's a pup.
This is true. My 5th and final pick for signings of the season so far is it Tanguy?
When we did our transfer videos, I was pronouncing it Tongai, but I think it's Tanguy on Ndombele.
Ndombele we're going to go with. Yeah, I wasn't sure that he was going to, or how much of an impact he was going to make, but I think he's been a decent addition to that Spurs midfield. Now,
I love him, bro. I think he's such a great player.
Yeah, and that only stacks up so much saying about Spurs midfield at the moment because obviously Spurs sit in 14th in the Premier League, which is absurd because we kind of saw coming that they were going to have a drop off, right? And I know it's only early days,
Didn't think it'd be that bad.
But 14th is ridiculous. But Kane's not quite having the same season. Son's obviously come back and started playing well again. So they've had their problems, but I think that one of the pluses that they've had is Ndombele.
Shining light, bro. That's what he is. He is a shining light. Yeah.
And he's only kind of like a hole-in kind of defensive midfield player, but he's got 2 goals. He's got an assist, and his overall play just looks to add a bit of steel to that midfield.
He adds one thing I've noticed is he adds a lot of impetus into midfield. Like his footwork is terrific. Yeah. If you ever watch him play, watch his footwork and see his actual technique, the way he gets himself out of tight positions. He has this acceleration, and it's not in no way sort of similar, right? But it's the one person that he sort of reminded me of was Hazard. Yeah. Do you know that sort of acceleration over the first 5 yards where he can just get away from you?
Just neat play, isn't it?
He's a very, very talented lad, and Spurs have a gem on their hands. And again, his development will be interesting because a lot of his development will be down to if Pochettino stays or goes. So we'll see.
Facts.
We'll see. But no, it's a very good pick, bro. I mean, these lists, whilst they are slightly different to a degree, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of arguments with your guys.
And it's like I touched upon, just a couple of minutes back. I don't think there's that many other contenders that you could knock many of these players out for.
Not particularly, no.
So far, anyway, Yeah, I mean, there's still time, obviously.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, look, anybody at home, let us know your opinions again on the 5 that we've each picked thus far, because maybe the case that you have a completely different 5 to us. So,
who would have thought at the beginning of the season that if I'd have asked you out of the 3 signings United made, which one of them, if you're going to rank them on best to worst in terms of impact they'd make for us, you probably wouldn't have put Maguire 3rd.
No, but even then, Maguire's not been that bad.
No, he's just been okay, isn't he? But for as much as we needed a quality centre half, and in terms of Premier League, he was that. You kind of would have expected out of the 3 him to be sort of that big consistency that would put in the 7, 8 out of 10 every week.
Yeah.
But you could argue, and we have done that. Wan-Bissaka and Dan James have kind of a little level above him at the moment in terms of what they're offering. So
I'm in agreement, bro. Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll go to a quick interval. Add me, Becky, and the podcast up on the social media platforms, and we will be back with the flops of the season thus far. Stay tuned. Alright, people, we're back. Episode 56. The flops and the tops of the season. So we've been over the top players or the top signings we feel thus far. We've got our 5 each now in terms of the flops.
We do.
If they were a team, they'd be Floppy Cock FC. We
Best.
agreed that on the interval. That's who they would be.
Softest five-a-side team there ever was.
They really would. Right, okay, so number one we're going to kick off with, because we're in agreement on 1 or 2.
We are, yes.
Is David Luiz.
Correct.
Now, David Luiz, if you watch this podcast, we praise his technical ability. And we've said he probably could outpass your favourite midfielder. But the guy cannot defend.
True.
Now, Arsenal fans were going nuts. They were like, yeah, we've got David Luiz at the start of the season. It's not even the middle of November.
No.
And it has gone completely sour. He is superb in a back three, where you have 2 solid defenders alongside him, and you make him your ball-playing centre-half. This is nothing new. We are not surprised by this. David Luiz cannot play in a back 4 in a 2-man central defence. It's an accident waiting to happen. You need leadership, you need discipline. I don't think he has any of that.
No.
Do you want to take over?
Yeah, I said in the interval just now, David Luiz this season for Arsenal has just been David Luiz. He's just been everything that I anticipated he would be.
What else is new?
He's been the exact same David Luiz that he was for Chelsea the first time and the second time, and PSG in between, and for Brazil. He's the same David Luiz everywhere. Arsenal fans were sort of making a song and dance, but we've got David Luiz, like you said at the start of the season. No, what that was that they were just relieved to have got a new defender. If you'd have said to them when the transfer window opened, you're going to sign David Luiz, they wouldn't have been that happy about it.
Lampard was more than happy to see Luiz go.
Yeah, and it was only £8 million or £10 million?
They basically give him away.
Yeah, they literally give him away.
Yeah.
And you mentioned his lack of defensive skills. He's going to get you goals from the corner. He's going to get you a couple of goals from set pieces. He's decent at free kicks because, like we said, his technical ability is pretty sharp. But you don't buy David Luiz to score you free kicks and get you the odd goal off a corner.
I wouldn't buy him at all.
No. What you're buying a centre-half for is to help you defensively, which he doesn't really do.
You look at Tomori now that's come in for Chelsea and replaced Luiz. Chelsea are flying.
Exactly.
They don't miss him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, not that it's... He wouldn't be the only one to get ripped apart by Mo Salah, but when they played Liverpool, Mo Salah just exposed his just lack of situational awareness defensively so badly.
Yeah.
He was just so reckless and lunging. Any decent quality centre half, you're looking at centre halves towards the lower end, like a Lewis Dunk, like a Tarkovsky.
They're better choices.
Like Tyrone Mings, like they're way better defensive choices, and they're playing for teams that are so much further than the league. You wouldn't see them lunging in at Mo Salah like he did.
He's not a natural defender.
No,
and Arsenal fans are going to find.
And he knows that upstairs, which is why he behaves the way he does on a football pitch sometimes. So, sorry to break it to you, but he makes the top 5.
Yeah, he might be the top 1.
Yeah,
he might be. Speaking of Arsenal players, or an ex-Arsenal player, because I believe we had him on the list. Oh, well, you mentioned him. I think you took him out of your list. I'm not going to go in on him too much, right? Yeah. Because he's a guy that I feel never really reached his potential and probably never will. Is Danny Welbeck?
Yeah.
He's at Watford now. I thought, you know what, this could be the chance for him to do something. Not something special, but turn over a new leaf, start a new chapter. And he's gone and got injured again. And I feel I actually don't dislike him. I just feel sorry for him.
It's a funny one with players that have consistent injuries.
Yeah.
Even at multiple clubs, it gets to a stage where I'm like, I'm in a catch-22 of whether they're just really unlucky or they're doing something wrong.
Are you mismanaging your body and your career?
If it happens at one club, or is the sort of the team around them, sort of the whole preparation, the fitness, the training methods, perhaps they're just not suited into that player's body and the way their body is, and people have said in the past, different coaches, that they've had to adapt to different players' needs and their ages and blah blah blah. But then he's gone to he's been at a few clubs now. He was injured a couple of times at United, bad injury spells at Arsenal. He's gone to Watford. Terrible. And within the first few games of the season, he's had a bad injury again. And Danny, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are,
he always does.
I'm not having a pop at you, and this isn't me just assuming that you are taking care of yourself. I'm just saying that you look at something like a Daniel Sturridge, a Jack Wilshere.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
I just think to myself sometimes, I was watching Sky Sports, right? Obviously,
Bill Jones is another one.
Gillette Soccer Special, when they were commenting on the game, and I can't remember who was commentating on it. It might have been, it was Merson or Charlie Nicholas, and they were talking about Danny Welbeck pulled up injured again, or it might have even been in the warm-up or first couple of minutes or something like that, and I just thought, again?
Yeah.
Really?
I feel sorry for him, but you do then start after asking deeper questions.
Yeah. But to bring that background, like you said, player who did have a lot of potential, and he's just not doing anything with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. We'll revisit Danny Welbeck, but like I said, I don't want to go in on him too much because the poor guy has suffered enough. But yeah, that's my choice.
Yep. I'm going to stick to the Arsenal theme.
Okay.
Kind of Arsenal theme for now. Did we agree on this one as well?
We did, yeah. It's actually the one we agreed on, yeah.
So I mentioned earlier, one of the factors that comes into play when you are assessing new signings is the cost or the value of a player.
You all know where we're going with this,
yeah.
by the way. So.
And when you spend a lot of money on a player, which was it, £72 million?
70-ish. So. I was 70 plus.
70-something million pounds. When you spend that money on a player, you kind of expect pretty big things, or at least, you expect a 7 or 8 out of 10 most weeks.
Bro, it's hard to even get away from the fact he's not doing it.
Yeah. And that man is Nicolas Pepe.
Again, to a degree, I feel sorry for him. And what's interesting is I remember, I think it was before United Arsenal. It might have been before another game. And we mentioned it on the podcast. And Mourinho talked about Nicolas Pepe. And he's like, he's a player I really like. He's an African boy that's been living in France. He predominantly speaks French. He's never really been outside of that comfort zone. Mourinho said it's going to take a while for him to transition into British football. But the problem is, Arsenal are in disarray, and they are crying out for a hero. Absolutely crying out for one. And whilst he's done bits, he hasn't done enough.
No. And I was just going to say, as you mentioned it there, we've put him in our top 5 of flops currently. That's not to say that can't change, right?
You can redeem yourself.
Of course you can.
This list is not exhaustive, and it is not exclusive.
And he could do that this season, and even if he doesn't this season, he'll have next season to do it.
Yeah.
And when you spend that sort of money, he will be allowed at least another season. But at the same time, when you spend that amount of money on a player, you're coming into a side, like you say, is in disarray. They need a hero. They need something. And people were talking up, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, the three of them together. We're going to do bits. It ain't really happening, is it?
The Arsenal theme in this flop is just incredible. It's not
and
cool.
You touched upon it. He's done. He scored a few good goals in the Europa League.
2 brilliant free kicks.
And that in a way shows part of his ability. And they were 2 very, very good goals. But Arsenal don't necessarily need him to do that in the Europa League. You look where they are in the Premier League. Well, they're sitting at the moment. We got the league table up here somewhere.
Arsenal are.
They're 6th, right?
Yeah, it's not that bad, but
they're behind Sheffield United, right?
They're the outlier, though. They're kind of just.
But their form has tailed off massively. Of late.
Arsenal are in disarray.
Yeah.
Like Emery won't see Christmas. I'm convinced.
That's a different subject altogether. I personally disagree, but it comes back down to when you spend that sort of money on a player, as the manager. The little bit of responsibility comes from him as well. Just steal my water.
Yeah, sorry, do you know what? I'm sat here thinking, you know what? He's 100% right. And I've no argument for it. So I'm going to take his drink instead.
But yeah. So we agreed on David Luiz. We're going to agree on Nicolas Pepe as well. It could change. He could prove us wrong. Yeah, and if he does, then fair play to you.
He's in there, but I have faith.
Yeah.
Again, people are calling him the Black Iron Robin. I've seen bits to suggest he has ability, but time shall reveal.
In time, possibly, but
yeah. Well, we've had 3 of mine, and we had 2 of yours. So give me another one of yours.
Okay, let me get this list back up. Okay, so we're gonna go from one part of North London to another.
Damn.
We like those links.
Damn.
Going to look at Spurs, and I believe it is Giovanni Lo Celso.
Damn. Okay, yeah. Elaborate further on the Lo Celso bit.
Yeah, sure. So, I praised, and I think correctly, Ndombele.
You did.
And I can't quite do the same for Lo Celso. Now, he obviously hasn't played as much as Ndombele and other players in the Spurs side. But I don't know if you remember me saying when he was linked and when he looked like he was going to sign for Spurs, I just remember saying that I'd seen him a couple of times, and I just there was nothing. I just couldn't take to him. There was just nothing that made me believe the hype.
You did. I think. Did you watch? What's the South American?
The Copa America.
The Copa America.
Yeah.
I remember you saying you watched it. You didn't see anything that sort of impressed you.
No, not really. And at best, I thought he's like a tidy-ish player, but people were talking him up a lot. There was quite a bit of hype about him.
Hello, me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't see it. And from what I've watched of him this season, I still don't see it. Yeah, he got a goal like it was in the Champions League the other day. It was a very messy goal. It rebounded about 5 or 6 times before it eventually went in. They all count. But I can't remember what he cost. I don't know if we can get the transfer fee up on that. It wasn't crazy money again. Like he was as much as Ndombele. But I feel like Pochettino and maybe Spurs fans expected more, and I just don't think
55 mil.
Oh, there we are then. Yeah. Quite a bit of money indeed. Damn. We talk about price tags.
That ain't no loose change, let me tell you.
For 50 million plus bucks, you're expecting contribution. Considerable contribution. And I'm yet to see it.
It's got Fred written all over it, let me tell you.
I'm sure it's the exact same price tag as well.
Yeah, they are roughly around the same price
tag. And he's probably contributed just as much, if not less.
I can't disagree with that choice right now. Okay, he didn't make my list, but if the list was more extensive and we had a top 10, he'd be...
It's like we say, when you factor in the transfer fees, £55 million for a player that hasn't offered very much, kind of similar to the Nicolas Pepe situation. He's got to be on some lists, and he's on mine.
That's true. It's very true. Okay, cool. Right, so thus far we've had Pepe from me and you. We've had Luis from me and you. We've had Welbeck from myself and Lo Celso from you. So there's 2 picks left for the flops. Now, we kind of touched upon him earlier on, and again, I don't necessarily want to go in on him too much because I'm a fan. I like him, right?
Okay.
Ollie McBurnie. Now, you're in the Championship with Manchester United. With Manchester United, with Swansea. I beg your pardon. You definitely Manchester United might be in the Championship next season. I was looking at some other things on there. So you in the Championship with Swansea, right? And you consistently score goals. You got a lot of people paying attention to you. You get a call up to, I think it's the Scottish national team. And, he's a controversial figure among Scottish fans, right? Like, he's a big Rangers fan. I don't know if you've ever seen his Twitter.
Yeah.
And he constantly tweets stuff about Rangers. And to a degree, he does it because he's a fan. But I think he also does it to antagonise people a little bit as well, right? Now, I wouldn't recommend that from a young man that's representing his country, because ultimately you want to try and get everyone behind you. You don't want to get half of them on your back and half of them not on your back. So initially I thought, it's not really the smartest thing to do. But I was like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. So on Instagram, he's out here, he's got Gucci this, Gucci that, LV this, LV that, private jets this, private jets that. Ollie's out here living like the Playboy lifestyle. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. You can't knock the hustle. You earn your money, you spend it how you want. But again, I would think until you've maybe sort of proven yourself a little bit more, just keep it on the low a little bit. Just keep it on the down low. I remember Memphis Depay at Manchester United. They all said to him, look, Memphis, until you've just achieved a little bit more, maybe just keep it on the low. Right?
Take it back, but yeah,
he didn't take that advice. But
no.
And then McBurnie with the whole drink driving thing, like, bro, especially after what happened with the lads at Derby. Again, I'm not going to go into it in too much depth, but there's been elements of his attitude where there's an immaturity, and when you sign for a Premier League club and they take a chance on you and they spend 20 million on you, and the guy who costs half of what you cost is coming in and is hungrier than you and is scoring more than you and is outperforming you, right now you're in the flop category.
Would.
And that's it. That's all I got to say. I hope he pulls himself out of that rut. I hope he matures. I hope he finds somebody in football that can maybe give him a bit of guidance.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is that, like you said, when a club takes, I don't want to say a gamble. I don't have to come across like, he wasn't worth the gamble as such. But
no.
When it is, generally speaking, it's a gamble when you go for a Championship player to take them up to the next levels of the Premier League, right? And I want to think he cost 20-something million, 20 million, whatever, right? When a club is willing to spend that money on you and hoping that you're going to be able to make that jump, when you initially don't start to do that, the very minimum that your employers are going to want to see from you is you knuckling down and putting in the work and effort.
That's it.
And if you're still doing that, then you've still got a chance, right?
Yeah.
Because they can say, well, it hasn't happened to you yet, but the manager could say, McBurney, he perhaps hasn't had the run of games that he wanted, or hasn't started so well, but he's doing really well in training, he's pushing hard, he's knocking on the door, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But when you're like he is on social media, and you get in to have a drink driving, it's just not a good combination, is it? When all they want to be seeing is effort, and you really trying to knock that door down to play.
Yeah, it's
and he's out drink driving, and
it's not a good look. It's really not a good look, bro.
Ollie, again, if you're listening, which I know you are,
put the Jaeger bombs down.
Sort it out.
Put
You're
the
a Premier League
Scotch
footballer.
down.
Premier League
Put the
footballer,
Grey
man.
Goose down. I'm naming random drinks. Put the lager down. For fuck's sake, like.
There's a lot of us who would like to say that we're Premier League footballers,
Yeah.
and we don't get to say it. 99 point something % of us don't get to say that, and you do.
Bro,
So-
just take your chance, like, please, God,
Sort
don't
it out.
let it slip. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's my choice. Who's your next one, bro?
My next one plays for Everton, and that is Moise Keane. Is it Moise Keane or Moise Keane?
Keane is definitely the surname. It's either
Yeah.
Moise or...
Moise Keane, I'm going to go with.
Moise Keane, I think, is a correct
Yeah.
pronunciation. I
So
might be wrong.
this at the time, this was a signing that I didn't see. It kind of came a bit out of nowhere. He obviously played for Juve.
He did indeed, yeah.
And he was doing okay. I know. I'm sure he was subject to some racial issues himself while out there, and we've shed some light on that enough on this podcast.
Racism in Italy. Well.
I know.
Well.
What a shock.
Well.
Surprise.
Well. Does that go on out there? I didn't realise.
From time to time, every now and again.
I suppose.
But yeah, he was at Juventus, and he was decent. He looked at talent. There was a lot of people talking about how he could be one of the next big things. And when I saw the news about him signing for Everton, I thought, interesting.
Cheng Toshin shaking
Yeah,
in
I
his
thought
boots.
that's not a bad bit of business, because you mentioned like a stepping stone to the club, like a Leicester.
Perfect.
I thought
I agree. Totally thought
you've got a
so.
player then who's at kind of like a top tier club, who's not quite at that level to sort of get in there consistently and do it. And he's lowering his level, coming to a competitive league, playing for like an Everton, and he could slot in nicely. I know they like to play football.
Talk that talk.
Yeah. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And what has he done so far?
Zip.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
It is also worth mentioning that Everton haven't been particularly great themselves.
Wildly inconsistent.
That's the perfect way to say wildly inconsistent, because you don't know, one week they're going to turn someone over, the next week they're going to lose 3-4-0, right? So that doesn't help his cause. But again, when I've watched him, I mentioned Alex Iwobi as well, right? He has been a little bit better, but again, he was not a signing of theirs, and they just haven't offered very much. Everton as a whole haven't offered very much going forward, but when they do, it doesn't seem to come through Keane or Iwobi.
Everton are a weird club, because one weekend
Strange.
you might get Brazil, and then the other week you might get Brookside.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really there's no in between with them right now. So yeah, no, I totally agree, bro. Again, I'm fully with you on that. I think he's for a lad with a big reputation.
Yeah, he wasn't cheap, was he, either?
No, and I think
I'll
he's
check that.
he's a Mino Raiola client as well. So they come with a lot
Who
of
isn't
baggage.
these days?
So well, yes, very true. Apart from us, if you're watching Mino, you can change that. But yeah, it's a predicament for him.
27.5 million he was.
If he doesn't do it at Everton, then there's question marks over his ability.
Yeah,
So
because when you're going to take that back a tier, you kind of think, well, if they can't do it at someone like that, then how is he ever going to do it for Juve or another club of that sort of stature?
No,
So
it's facts, bro.
yes, so he's my number 4.
Cool. My number 5 pick, again, I don't necessarily need to over-elaborate because a lot of people will probably be in agreement, is João Cancelo. Now, João Cancelo's at Juve. He was performing superbly. People were saying this guy might be the best right-back in the world. Now, I wouldn't have necessarily said he was the best right-back in the world. But you could make a case for being in the top 5. He was a part of a very successful Juve side. He contributed hugely in the Portuguese national team. He was playing quite frequently as well. And on the whole, a very talented lad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on at Manchester City where this lad cannot get a game. Because as far as I was aware, he had significantly more ability than Kyle Walker. But apparently it just isn't working out for him right now.
The fullback situation at Man City it's a very strange
Bewildering, that's what
situation, because Guardiola has spent an awful lot of money on fullbacks. Now you look at his options, right? So who did he play with yesterday? He had Walker, and he had who was on the left side?
Was it Zinchenko?
No, it was Angelino.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, Angelino.
Who he's obviously recently brought back, right? And we've mentioned that before. Zinchenko's an option. Obviously he's offloaded Delph, and he was playing there previously. You've got Mendy, who was on the bench.
Mendy's an Instagram influencer. I don't count him anymore.
But he wasn't injured. But he cost £50 million.
He's on Instagram though, so it's easy to get other things.
You look at the money being spent right in fullbacks. Then so he had Walker. He's got Cancelo. He's got Mendy. He's got Zinchenko. He's got Angelino. He's got 5 or possibly even 6 fullbacks, and he spent 150, probably not far off 200 million on fullbacks. And arguably the one that we thought was the best, and the one
I still think he is the best, but
he isn't getting a game. Now I'm not Pep Guardiola, so I can't tell you.
I don't get it. Like, I genuinely don't get it. It's not like he's a bad player. It's not like even when he's come in, he's performed bad. He's been okay. I just think you got to let him off the leash a little bit, like, and let him do his thing and let him adapt. I can't quite get over it, because I would have took him at United if they didn't get Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. For some reason, Pep he's not buying it at the moment, is he?
Which makes you wonder why you wanted him in the first place.
Yeah.
I can't quite understand it. But anyway, Cancelo, that's my fifth and final one. Talk me through your fifth and final one.
Yeah, my fifth one, again, correct me if I'm wrong on my pronunciation. He's a signing from AC Milan, and Wolves paid £16 million for this man, and his name is, I can definitely say his first name is Patrick.
Paddy.
And it's is it Coutron or Citron? I don't know how you.
Coutron.
Coutron. Very well.
Coutrone. Patrick.
Paddy.
Paddy. Yeah.
Paddy. Patrick. Yeah.
P-Dog.
Now the thing is with this guy, he would be, if I was to rank my 5 flops, he would be towards the bottom end of it.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a massive flop.
Yeah, he's done okay for Wolves behind Raul Jimenez. He's then scored the next most amount of goals. Just nobody comes close to Raul Jimenez for Wolves anyway. So when I say he's second, he's just the best of a bad bunch behind Jimenez, right? Yeah. It's just that my expectation of him for the sort of a £16 million fee, and the fact that he came from AC Milan. All right, they're not doing fantastic, but they're still AC Milan, right? Again, there was a lot of people sort of talking about him and saying that he was a very good prospect. And I just thought the way that Wolves kind of play, they play like a decent counter-attacking brand of football. I just thought that, on Sky Sports and Match of the Day this season, I'd be seeing a decent highlight reel of Patrick.
PC doing his thing.
P-Wizzle.
He's done okay. Like I said, he hasn't set the world alight,
no,
but he hasn't been the worst either. So really, it's like he's not Brad Pitt, but he's not Shrek either. Like, do you mean he's sort of an in-between beauty? That's what he is.
And when you spend, £16 million on someone, you expect something back. That's the theme, the common theme we're saying.
Well, I think more so with him because he came with a reputation, and not necessarily even the price tag, but a lot of people in Italy were like, this guy has serious footballing pedigree. Like, he could go on and be something if he applies himself correctly. And Milan, like a bit like Keane at Juventus, it might be a little too soon for him, so if he takes a step back to take a step forward, it could suit him. I'm kind of surprised he went to Wolves. I can assume money played a massive factor in it.
Must have, yeah.
Because otherwise he would have probably stayed in Italy, and maybe it would have benefited him more to stay in Italy.
Yeah.
But what's he now? He's 21.
21, yeah.
He's still got plenty of time on this side. But yeah, I'm expecting to see more of him as the season goes on.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
That's my number 5.
That's the 5. All right, well, that's the 10 each. Let us know your opinions, in the comments. Give your 5 top and your 5 flop, and we'll rate them. We'll get back in touch with you if you want to tweet us instead, or get at us on IG. Please let us know, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. But as it stands, that is us done for tonight. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Add me up on my social media platforms, and Becky on his too. If you're interested in any sort of CrossFit information as well, this is your guy too, okay? So if you want to get fit, get rid of all that fat, this is your boy. Get in touch with him on the DMs, and he'll be happy to help. But for now, we'll be back next time. Take care, people, and we're signing out. Laters. Ciao.